Historically, no matter how deep our political divide, there have always been some things we could agree on, certainly if not policy, that at least a basic set of facts about science or math or medicine, empirical data that explains the world we live in and debate in. But today, even that is threatened in ways not seen since some argued that the earth was flat. Daniel Patrick Moynihan once said to one of his colleagues that he was entitled to his own opinions, but not his own facts. That doesn't seem to be true anymore. So what's a scientist to do when their basic set of proven assumptions are attacked, challenged, or ignored in the face of overwhelming evidence, be it climate change, vaccines, or data about our health? The answer may be running for office as the only alternative. We're going to talk about that today with my guest, Shaughnessy Norton. She's a chemist, a cancer researcher, and the founder of the nationally recognized pro-science political action group 314 Action. She is one of the organizers of this weekend's upcoming March for Science in Washington that will assemble scientists from around the country to rally against the president's war on science. It is my pleasure to welcome Shaughnessy Norton to the program. Shaughnessy, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
First of all, tell us a little bit about 314 Action. What is it? How did it come to be?
Well, I am, as you said, a chemist by training, and I ran for U.S. Congress myself. And one of the observations I had was there's a real lack of people with scientific and technical backgrounds in Congress, but really at all levels of government. And I founded 314 Action to try to help increase those numbers. And one of my other observations was it can be very hard to break into politics when you don't come from a traditional political background. And so with 314, we're hoping to unite the scientific community and encourage more members to run and get elected to office.
Is there a danger inherent in this that by getting more scientists involved in the political process, that it will further cause science to be polarized by politics and have exactly the opposite effect that you would like it to have?
Well, what I think is really dangerous is when we have a president that denies the importance of acting on climate change and has cabinet picks that are openly hostile to to the departments they're set to run. I think it's dangerous that we have politicians on the House Science Committee that are openly hostile to the scientific consensus. And I think the way we push back at that is to claim a seat at the table and get elected because what we're doing isn't working.
What does it mean when we have people, even that are doctors inside the administration, people like Tom Price and Ben Carson, who are guilty of these same denials about some obvious facts of science? What do we make of that? What should we make of that?
I guess that shows the democratization of ignorance. I'm not quite sure.
Talk a little bit about the nature of scientists in general and the degree to which I think some people might assume that kind of the scientific temperament is antithetical for the rough and tumble world of politics.
Well, it is a rough and tumble world, and it is not for the thin-skinned. But I do think scientists bring a unique and valuable skill set to governing and policy making. I mean, one of the things that's instilled in scientific training is, a collaborative approach, an ability to interpret data and not be intimidated by it, as well as a fact-based approach to decision-making, which I think we could use a lot more of in government.
Do you see this taking place and scientists getting involved in politics through the traditional party system, through the traditional party structure?
We are working with the national organizations and introducing them to our candidates, but, a lot of the people that we have been contacted by, we've had over 5,000 scientists this year put up their hand to say they are ready to run for public office. A lot of them have not operated within the party structure. And when you haven't, it can be a very confusing path to navigate. And so that's part of what we're trying to help with is, to make those connections and to educate them on these party structures that, people might not otherwise know about.
Talk a little bit about the issues that you think are of paramount importance to scientists, whatever their specialty, whatever their area of expertise, to scientists that might get involved in the political process.
Well, I think first and foremost is being policy based on sound science. And, that isn't always the case, and can be very frustrating to a lot of folks. I think this proposed budget by the Trump administration with the cuts to EPA, as well as the just draconian cuts to the National Institute of Health budget, has a lot of people terribly concerned. And when we're talking about climate change and the importance of acting on that, and the fact that that's essentially being ignored by the administration, has people really concerned.
Do you think about, or is there discussion about the fact that by the time something like this could really be effective, to be up and running, have some people elected, engage in the kind of training that you were talking about before, that the urgency of the need may pass at some point?
Well, when we're talking about issues like climate change, that really requires, of course, we do need to be acting immediately, but it requires long-term thinking because it's long-term thinking about our energy policy as well as our environmental policy and national security. So I think that there is always going to be a role for scientists being involved in electoral politics, and I think increasingly that scientists are recognizing that they need to go beyond just signing letters and signing petitions and actually step up and get involved, whether that is run for office themselves or organize in their community or even just making science more visible and applicable in their community. There is a growing consensus that this is an important endeavor.